Well, as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful afternoon, February 20th, year 2024, on a Tuesday afternoon, as I said, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that makes it your business, knowingly and unknowingly, directly or indirectly, into the combined effort of fortifying and enhancing the concept of public access, as it may add longevity, the right amount, and the right kind of juices that spruce and make the surrounding, the immediate surrounding, at least colorful and bearable. So we are really adamant when it comes to experiencing this feeling that happens to be powerful, to have a stage, to utilize a stage, to take advantage of a stage, to bring forth into life the stage, and within the stage, hand in hand, parallel to the voice and the vision and the statement and the declaration and the colorfulness of the wording and the wording of the color scheme and the composition, and that's that which leads us to be our own critics, and criticizing with the right amount of dignity and mindfulness and care and fairness and balance and so much more that we will um, um, uh, it's actually that kind of engagement serves as a reminder also, so you don't really have to find yourself pausing or creating room especially for that particular item, thing, time, opportunity, event, because it's embedded into the reality that takes care of itself. I spoke about it many times in the past, reminding you that actually, when you have that investment of time and will and goodwill for that sake, and really genuine approach and a kind of devotion that doesn't require too many preparations ahead of time, it's just more kind of and almost an immediate blend is guaranteed, just that by the very fact that you showed that willingness to cope with the desire, one of so many. And I mean, I can sound as cliche as telling you that this world could have been such a great entity to treasure and to live in, just by way of showing, just by way of showing our acknowledgement and awareness. You become aware of something, become aware of another story, one of so many that's just surrounding us, and you know, and layers, and if you're accustomed as an artist to think about layers and to have your work all based on the fact that you accumulate layer and you find the right balance between that which your hopefully photographic memory dictates to you and reminds you also, and the level of safety by way of being allowed to land at any given time, back and forth from and to. And it's like a one stage equipped, uh, one size fits all, yet an allowance uh, of you just go ahead and do your thing, and we'll kind of observe, and we're kind of guaranteeing you that you will not hear any objection from this direction. I went through actually an unwavering support at certain stages of my life concerning many things, not necessarily only the artistic process slash journey slash evolutionary process. I realized about many things, that there can be people there that love you, and appreciate you very much and love you very much and care about you very much, and they want to translate that into being able to support you and to make you aware that they are there for you. You might never need their help supposedly all your life, but they're watching you closely and they're supporting you and they're announcing to you that if the day comes, if the moment comes, if the time comes, that you're in need of whatever it is, most probably just about anything, so they have it available. So that's a great feeling. So I remember that saved me a lot of hassle, because there is, or because there must be, because there's supposed to be an evolutionary process to everything in order to make sense of it, in order to make it official and licensed and undeniably certified. You, 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 you want to be able to add some level of friendliness into the rigid process of accumulating knowledge, and also finding yourself in this somewhat catastrophic given that you're realizing more and more that you have to kind of give in to that given, giving in to the given, kind of thing. It's not necessarily something that would make me feel happy. Uh, I need the I would not say that I need something that I cannot in some way, shape, or form at some point be responsible for its creation, for that particular substance, that particular merchandise, that particular you know uh, uh, collection of uh, doomsday scenario benefits, kind of thing, where you um, can guarantee yourself enough time to reflect before you're annihilated. And when people think of a nuclear war and nuclear catastrophe, they don't realize that there's a lot of this kind of catastrophe emotionally and psychologically and spiritually. And I guess it's all about having a fair amount of time to speak your mind, to declare your thoughts, as pathetic as they might be. And probably you know that they're pathetic and that they're useless, and that, at this day, at this stage, it's like it doesn't matter um, because it's consuming itself as a guarantee for uh, putting a cap on that expansive vision that you put together so meticulously early on. But in the world of art, these tricks, this state, these kind of head games and state of mind through which you accomplish things, meaning, let's say, you can control the flow of misery that comes your way. That is, for some reason, this portion of misery that life thinks that we cannot do without. So it meets you at some point, somewhere, somehow, and you can never escape it. These are kind of weird, uh, devastating dues that you have to pay. This is your debt to society for things that are unknown to you, like a real mystery, how we need to take care of the emotional damages, so psychological and spiritual damages that had nothing to do with our doing it, because we were just kind of thrown into the equation of the circle of life, the motion of life, the rhythm of life, the melodies of life, the harmonies of life, the basic compositions that lead to greatness and breakthroughs, to that which is genius and also very laid back and down to earth. And you find the magic reflected more often than not, if you're willing to participate in the game and do your utmost to be able to survive the game as long as possible. Not about winning or losing, just hanging in there. just hanging in there, just hanging in there, basically. And then greatness is just inevitably it's heading your way. So, but then you have, if you get to a certain level, to a certain point, you have some kind of basic knowledge of who you are. If you want to rave about something, probably you better choose something that you can show for, that you can, at the moment where everybody points at you and say that you're like a nobody, a loser, non-existing, and then suddenly you have something to show for, which happens to be something that no one can deny. I've experienced more than once in my life that I created something that nobody could deny that it was good. Forget about greatness, mind-blowing, just simply good. And even though I'm not so big on social media, even though you'll see me Instagram or Facebook, whatever, why wouldn't I be? But um, the there's some critical people. I mean, that some people that I mean, for someone like me who doesn't post really much, but now and then I throw into the equation a painting or something I did that I like, and hey, why not? So people were critical, and people were not nice sometimes, and it's just like saying, well, I wish I could reply to this and hope for a constructive discussion, because you want to know where is it coming from in order to benefit from it. If you tell me I suck, I would really love to know why I suck in your eyes, and then you explain to me, and then guess what? I get a lot of material to hang on to in order to draw the relevance and to make the necessary changes. I love how it sounds. The necessary changes. If at all we can live to realize what changes, due to what, coming from, how come, what for, and then how so. But but then um, because everything that you exposed be sent forth for people to share with people, it wasn't something that you had in mind. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to post this because this is going to serve as something I can show for things that I do and all this. So, in order to, because of my lack of ability to respond to people's critical criticism, really difficult to digest, then I would say, okay, you know what, maybe I should show them something that I can show for. And then and it happened to me actually not too long ago. A particular friend of mine on Facebook suddenly abandoned all of his venom, and he's very smart. So even his venom is sophisticated venom. Comes across as if it's just my opinion, but then suddenly you send something with the intention of using it as something you can show for, and the other person is left with no choice but come to grip with reality and state that it's great. This one I like. When someone says this one I like, that means because he or she said so many about others that you posted this one I don't like, and screw you, and it's terrible, and out of my face kind of thing. So now and then I insert the result of the cool of my might. That it would be boring. For example, if I was to choose that throughout the process of me creating and painting paintings, my desire would be to give to shock people and to surprise people and to humble people and to um, display my power and my sophistication and my talent and my potential. You know. Uh, in realizing that potential that really speaks for the unordinary, the genuine, the original, and so much more. Um, so I know many people that found their refuge, and therefore, by finding their refuge, being able to utilize their potential for exploration, for abstract, for experimental, for contemporary, and they discover that they are just killing it. I know if you older artists that just lived a certain lifestyle that was very down to earth. They're great paintings, but there was no seeking the future and venturing into the big world, and maybe something somehow someone somewhere will spot it, and guess what, you'll be the next best thing. But then um, they can and they are realizing the extent of their talent and their power, and now and then I experienced how they externalize their abilities of showing you that they can just literally crush you, but crush you emotionally, And um, so I always left room that will serve as a distance between those whom I admire, especially. Of course, I will respect anyone out there. Those whom I admire, and those who want to say, I don't even want to take a chance that by chance I will upset you or hurt your feelings or clash with you. I want to give you, to the extent that's possible to me, my recognition, because I love you. I love your work. I love your energy. I love your readiness. I love you just like how you capitalize on it is like nothing less than incredible. And I love that. And I appreciate that. And I wanted to serve as, let's just say, I don't even want to say a point of reference, but more like an appealing composition, a well wrapped up, a confined, uh, um, summarized, condensed again uh, into a solid, tight fit composition that it becomes more and more universal. The more you look at it, the more you're trying to get the meaning out of it, to squeeze it out, and you realize this is something that belongs to the world. This is something that is of the world, and this person that you see here, it's just like when you go to a gallery and you don't quite sure you know the artist and you love the work, and the name is big or whatever, and your friend is with you, and you're both good artists yourselves too, and he points, he says, here's the artist, and then you look at the artist, and then the work is there, and the work is there, and the artist is there. So I love this early association when you don't really quite know the work or the artist. You want to take that great feelings you have about the work and associate it with this individual that you see in front of you. And I love the way it feels because it's the freshness of that which potentially I can learn from it, and how I can inevitably humble myself, which is something that I yearn for more often than not. And I'm not always successful because there's nothing that I can really much use as a point of reference to be self-humbled. Even if not that I think about the need to be humbled all the time, because if you're already humbled, you won't be seeking that which you already have in abundance, really, if you think about it. Let's see. Good. So, plain and simple, you want to degenerate. It's good for the world. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around the world who make it their business to put that on display. People have desire to create. Just imagine we can quadruple and quadruple, double, quadruple, triple the amount of people engaging in art out of genuine will. I think that if I was to be like someone who teaches in any kind of an establishment that wants to teach the new generation about art, my role will be trying to prove to the wonderful young bright minds that you don't need too many confirmations if you really want to become an artist that makes a difference. One of the ways, because there are many ways, would be that which I will introduce to people, that you don't need an approval, you don't need any special preparations, even though you would need that universal preparation to get ready to uh, acknowledge and come together with the idea that you're indeed going to become a real artist, meaning that you're going to spend enough time to be called a real artist, an artist for real. Um, and there's nothing wrong in being touch and go artist, you know. I know a lot of people who are touch and go. Well, I don't know a lot of people that touch and go, but I know some they can that you would never think that they spend so little time in order to create this wonderful full body of work in front of you. We never. I wouldn't be the one to ever ask an artist how long did it take you to do it. How long did it take you to do that? Like what? That's what you have to ask me. So therefore, I won't bother any artist by saying, "How long did it take you to do that?" What? A week? Oh, 5 hours? What? 35 minutes? What a ridiculous question. Anyway, a lifetime, a lifetime of gathering your wits and courage and just plain simple, straightforward bravery. I sat more than once, and I always chose when I have company that I have respect that I can show myself. That again is like plunging into the ocean first week of January in the coldest place in the world, whatever, you know. It will be just a slight bit, a touch of a wake up call. Some people just go in and out, and it's okay. Uh, but I think that the role that we can play international, it's like every time I hear international relations, you know, and when everything can be solved by that kind of engagement, we find ourselves. Well, I can say we, but I don't know how come I can say we. I can say I realize. Yeah, I realize. Today, for example, in the morning, I left home and all day long, I felt like there's this powerful thing that I know what it is. I cannot explain it. I know what it is. I don't feel like I need to explain it because I know so well what it is. I know where it is. I know what it's about. I know how I'm related to it. I know what role I take in it. In that that I feel and think and feel related to, feel close to, feel feel that there's a potential relationship, friendship, and communication, interaction, and and every time I find myself pausing to realize, so what is it? What is it? Why am I thinking about it? Where is it coming from? And if I know what it is, then why is it that the way it is and all this? So it's not like you can understand, seek the meaning, understand what it is, and then immediately send it forth into that kind of open space where it can be used as as a tool through which one can prevail, one can avoid the obstacles, one can gain strength, one can widen your views and your sharpen your eyesight, one can clear your heart, one, you know. So uh, and I felt that all day long, whenever that happens to me, I as the mystery grows and more question marks are being added into this equation of the incredible freedom, I realize that it's coming from the fact that it exists. And me being human being, I have to seek confirmation, even though I know within me, inside me, that what how I feel is accurate. And sometimes I don't need to understand completely down to the last line. It's about its nature. It's ridiculous. But for the longest time, I didn't even think about it. I thought that this is what it is. What I see and how I feel is actually what it's about, and then I have to go and live it completely before it can elevate into what it was to begin with, what it is uh, all along, and what it's bound to be in the future completely. Um, but there is, the I'm still a human being, so I like that this confusion is actually making feel making me feel certain areas in my body, like there's literally physical. There's actually giving me the indication that about that which kind of circles here, and all these aspirations about the future and about my role and how I'm going to save the world, and add more of that goodness that I accumulate that will do nothing but goodness to the world, and soften the rough edges, and prevent that many battlefields from forming to begin with, and indirectly promotes love, and passion and compassion as a given. So all of these things, it's by way of knowing. Because you encounter it every day in different places and times, and occasions and timing. But because you encountered it. When you encountered it, you knew that you were encountering something that's yours, because you're responsible for its creation, its positioning, its rationalism, its um, just as a unique factor that guarantees your longevity to go for quite a while uninterrupted, undisrupted, un. So I did think about my need to go and check other people's other artists' place of creations. You want to call it studios, whatever it is, place of refuge, where they come together with themselves and their thoughts, and then talk to me about all the things that they almost did but didn't, and then ended up doing the things that you were actually witnessing. That's actually a very interesting and wonderful way to come out with these feelings when you go visit a friend of yours, where it's in a special occasion, because we're all wrapped up with our own personal experience that we know the most about, and more than anything, because it's who we are every day of the week, and who we are as we go in and go out, as we show ourselves into the magic that we anticipate to expose itself, and also coming out through the clusteredness of the intensity of the light, and that we're taking chances, because we kind of, for some reason, feeling a little kind of extra brave, and willing to take to pay the price in order to experience, because we know just a little touch of it can stretch a long ways. And that's what I mean as far as contribution to the stability of this world. People think, yeah, it's important to go out and say this matters, everything is important, or the opposite, or whatever and however. But when you bring a wonderful creation that it calls everyone in the room to hold their breath. I remember once I was invited to a party at Lisa de Kooning's, William de Kooning's daughter, here in East Hampton, and that was before I was actually an artist per se, artist painter. And I remember I was there in the living room, and everywhere I looked was his work. I guess in those years, that was like in 1987 or 9 or something like that. And I was amazed by the fact that every painting of his that I looked at, I couldn't help myself. I admit, what I'm going to share with you is not the way I think, but I couldn't help myself. I look at this painting, I said, "Wow, I can actually have owned this painting. If I was to own this painting, I would literally be able to go around and shop around for 3 houses in the Hamptons with this one painting here, fully paid for." So it's also, it's, I'm sorry, this is society. It's okay. I would probably have loved the painting just as much if it was worth only $500 or $5,000. But yeah, it's a part of magic. that forms because that's something that you have something to show for. Say, well, wait a second, before you let me add this into the reservoir of your collection and recollection. And so your assessment will be fair and based on reality. This is reality. So you show it. So people are okay. Now they stop. They say, wait a second, yeah, let's add it to the evidence. But also, as they handle it and as they observe it, and it happens quickly enough, they realize that it's also just in its own right beautiful, appealing, sophisticated, provoking, challenging, rewarding. And for a second, you even caught yourself not thinking about the fact that what you just held in your hand is just about to be worth $1 million, if not only, if not already. So you see, yeah, you cannot change. You cannot. Even when you think of Jackson Pollock in our neighborhood, God bless his soul. I mean, what a freaking revolutionary. Even though some people say he was a loser, he was an alcoholic, he was, yeah, well, you know what? De Kooning was also an alcoholic and whatnot, and smoked like a chimney until his 80s, late 80s, whatever. So I mean, it's destiny. But I mean, the guy woke up in the morning, and in the years that he did create, he just gave it all he had. And people say, "Oh, he could have." No, he couldn't have. He said he spoke his piece, and probably if he was to live another decade, everything that he would have created would just bring his brilliance down because it will be just like, okay, maybe we're overdoing it here. But in the years that he created, he brought a message to the world that until now, this supposedly someone who paints painting that every baby supposedly can paint these paintings is actually ruling the world with his commending power. And still, if you don't have $100 million, you cannot even get near his one of his major paintings. It's so so this, there are many multimillionaires in the United States and in the world that still, after all, don't have $100 million as their whole fortune put together. And here's that losers. This loser supposedly one painting is worth 150, $200 million, or things of this nature. But it's the message to the world that comes from within. That within that we're speaking of is that which is inevitably going to be fortified by acknowledgement, by experience, by breakthroughs, by meaning, by a condensed amount of information that is original and genuine because you probably are responsible for most of its becoming. Because that level of devotion, stubbornness, sticking to the message, and having that vision, pinpointing at the right direction at any given time. Now that's what I called the the golden ring of of that which you're promoted and encouraged to indulge in, and to knock yourself up type thing. And in a very funny way, you drank and smoked and ate so much you can't believe that the next day you're actually looking pretty and feeling pretty fresh. No hangovers, no heartburn feelings, and no lightheadedness. You're just a little tired. That's it. Yeah, now that's what we're talking about here. Talking about so many nights. I used to travel to Manhattan. I had a habit in the 90s to go to Manhattan and work until 5 and 5:30, 6 o'clock. Head to the city, arrive there. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and just enjoy the city. Enjoy different concerts and different renowned jazz and fusion and jazz rock musicians, and just thank God for this magic, for being able to see all these idols of mine live, and 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 just and I remember being tired working all day, and now it's like midnight, and I'm still like I want to go to the jam session at the Blue Note that starts only at like midnight or 1 a.m. And anyway, make a long story short, I would leave Manhattan 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, get to East Hampton like 4:30 in the morning, and get to my studio and sit there and create a painting while I know that I have maybe 2 hours to sleep because I'm a house painter. I paint houses. I was reminded of this reality. The early stages of me feeling, oh my God, this is happening. This is starting, mid mid 90s. And I would create that in the morning. I would wake up and I would be like pretty clear, pretty sober, a little tired, but pretty together with myself, It was something like, and this is the kind of quality of life that you're guaranteed by these type of engagements that you find yourself into. That cannot take place unless you actualize these desires. Bring your capabilities to to the forefront in order to meet the meaning behind uh, of these desires. That they don't be too vague, remain too vague, or something blurry in the background. So the process of bringing them to life and realizing this is me, this is a piece of me, and this is a great contribution to humanity. How come? Well, come how? How so then so how? So it's just the way it is. Now just imagine hundreds of thousands and millions of individuals that make it their business to do that. It doesn't dissipate into the thin air. It doesn't just go away. It doesn't just disappear. You will hardly even would have to anticipate that you need to dust it if you were to leave it for 20 years untouched. Doesn't dust resistance, doesn't accumulate dust, nothing. It's right there, as if you left yesterday. So, how do we find a way in and a way out that it requires the least amount of engagement? So it's that much faster. So it's that much of an elimination of potential obstacles because you've been around the block and you've experienced many, many times that obstacles meet you head on. And you say to yourself, oh, I could have avoided it for God's sake. It's because you just take it as a given that life is life and that maybe sometimes it's easier to think that everything is going to go smoothly and then you hit the worst traffic jam in your life. And yeah, well, so you accept it as well. Oh, this is life. Okay, so sometimes it's not that bad to go through a uh, a traffic jam. You know. So yeah, I I experienced it and I treasured it and I focused on the fact that how I'm not only observing but conserving, and I need a little bit of it available to me. That means I will use a little bit. I know most of it is going to storage, and but I need to have some available with me because it's so crucial that I should remember everything about it. So I will have something I can smell and touch and all this, and serves as a reminder, so I can go for months without encountering it again. Supposedly, just by that little bit that I have uh, with me. Serving as a reminder to this world, oh my God, what a friggin' out of control world that we're living in. But also a fantastic, beautiful world. You can create your own reality, really, if you think about it. Yeah, you know what? There are ways that you really don't need to have any income in order to survive. You, you know, you can be homeless. You can find your clothes here and there. You can ask for some charity. Which is nothing wrong with it. I think. I don't think that if someone chooses to beg and to be a part of society the way that he or she decide, if they can endure it, yes, and then maybe their lives are something for us to envy. And But also, who says that their own way of thinking is not something that is priceless? I would like, and there are some people around here, the East End, that I notice that need help, and now and then I approach them and I apologize that for them, that not to hurt their feelings, and just express to them that if but I can answer their needs. Again, I don't have to be a millionaire in order to give them 20 or 40 or 30 or 40 or $50, and say that, what, I can imagine that will go a long ways for them. That will make a difference. But when you do that, you realize I was just touching greatness. And there's one of them that I noticed that I don't want to rub it in and start asking him, no, how you making it? How are you making it? What's behind it? Tell me about the artist that inside you. Tell me about your aspirations and planning and hopes and all this that you will know inside deep inside you most probably will never materialize. Tell me about how you feel about it. Of course, I don't ask, but I know that it's worthy and worthwhile to ask, and I should have asked, if only because I know that there's a lot behind it. That individual has a lot to say, a lot of which I want to hear and to treasure and to implement and to adapt, and things like that. So we take it for granted, because this is the kind of creatures we are. Um, and we're also creatures of habit, and we're bound to become addicts, of some kind of a. So I know that I'm a creature of habit, and that which I bound to become an addict of will be something good by nature. I'm addicted to work. I'm addicted to creation. I'm addicted to color. I'm addicted to paint. I'm addicted to studio. I'm addicted to long hours of work. I'm addicted to compositions. I'm addicted to color schemes. I'm addicted to placements, and I'm addicted above all to comply with demands, quiet and silent and buried deep within some kind of humility accumulated. And I do answer these calls. And I don't take it lightly that I'm addicted to that, because any kind of addiction doesn't sound like it's a good, healthy thing. But um, when you're a painter and you want to act upon it, by the time you start and all this, there's nothing else will exist. Even those voices that you heard go away until you stop, and then they come back again, which is okay. It will never drive you crazy because you're actually thriving on their presence, because you're too smart to let it derail you and make you believe like you lose your mind or something like that, something ridiculous like that. But yeah, so hundreds of thousands and millions of them, they're all mindful and purposefully putting one and one together, taking from their time, from their effort, from their genuine desire and willingness to do something, uh, uh, just something, just that automatically will be observed as a contribution to so many good things when it comes to that which concerns the world's stability, the world's integrity, the world's composition, the world's level of sophistication. There is so much required and needed, because obviously, uh, before you become as simple as your heart desires to be, you have to go through all the stages of sophistication. You want to be humbled. Well, I hate. I don't want. I can't hear myself saying humble any longer. So, but more like, what, put in place, and finding yourself being challenged, that all of the tools that under discussion are available and at your disposal. Let's see how they work in a moment of truth. That's what I meant. And usually, from all my recollections, all my experience, usually they work well. They 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 live up to the expectations, not reputation, expectations. They live up to it. So, if anything, that will give you a. Let me see what that will give you. Huh. Okay, so let me just check something here. Okay. And I missed my coffee. So, just to mention again, we're sitting here on Tuesday afternoon, February 20th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that make it your business to do so much for this concept called public access thrive. Putting, as you know, we have monthly exhibitions of group art shows here for the last at least 26 years that I've been involved in curating these shows. This coming show for the month of entire month of March and the first week of April is called Leverage, and it's a women's show. I'll have all the information for you very shortly, but we have Josephine Bustashak and we have some other potential names. We have Joyce Raimondo that's going to join us also, and Liz Sloan is going to join us, and Fanny Yulin is going to join us, and some others, maybe even Julia Shirokova will join us. So that's good. It's a formidable list of wonderful artists. So I'm just in the process of erecting the show, hanging the show, and we're looking forward. The opening is going to be March 9th, and much more information in detail is going to come your way. So that's a given, and we're very happy and very thankful to have that at our disposal. So if I can only summarize and find myself at the doorstep of that understanding that I'm trying to inject into this constant motion forward of my artistic journey, then it's a no-brainer, because I know that most, if not all, of the things that are heavy duty and meaningful that takes place in our lives are happening in between those and in and out, in and out. I saw people that breathe in a very unusual, weird way, but still, for them, it's just as if and all this, just as conservative and contemporary as it chooses to and find itself to be. So I take all the relevance of that which I can kind of metaphorically mobilize, and always try to find it on the other end. So that means I will always be there, ready to meet myself, facing myself, maybe a little bit ahead of myself, in the shape of myself. So that which is ahead of myself is myself, and that which is approaching towards that which is ahead, which happens to be myself, is also myself. Sounds tricky, but actually it works, because I want to be able to disarm myself by encountering myself ahead of time, expecting me. So what more comforting and put you at ease than actually observing yourself, greeting yourself. And then in addition to that, also the significance of these basic body motions, movements that are given in how this body handles itself, and how the mind governs and serves as that which is responsible for everything that happens, that goes away, that comes back, that separates and come together constantly, never endingly. And so I'd like to be aware of that's happening, even though I know exactly zero about the details and all that. And then surprisingly enough, I realized that it actually am benefiting and enjoying without knowing as much as I think I should know. That little bit can stretch a long way and a long time, and that's all the time I need. Now, in addition to that, there is some kind of a that process, let's say if I spend, and I know firsthand, that much time in my studio painting paintings, or also writing poems in between paintings, and also playing music in between writing poem and painting, there's something that wants to go to every available direction. And in the past, I realized that it didn't, because for some reason, unknowingly, I was actually preventing it from doing that. So I was correct. And I realized I should abandon this need to correct. And then indeed, I once I utilized it, I really realized that around me I feel these motions from directions that I never encountered before. And it's directly due to the fact that I kind of found myself doing the own adjustments, but those adjustments are not uh, going as far as depriving itself from that which I will have to eliminate in order to add into the equation, which happens to be another equation, but still it's completing the picture and helping you uh, um, improvise and experiment a lot deep. And so, without even knowing that that's actually what I'm doing, I'm exposing myself into other options. These options of finding yourself maybe over the top, maybe, oh my God, I can tolerate it because it really feels and smells and seems familiar. And then because you know better not to ask of the nature and to get precise and meticulous answers, you just leave it at that. There's kind of agreement between that which shows a face that makes you wonder and feel amazing and amazed, to the fact that and in many other encounters just keep find you causes you to be dumbfounded, like literally on kind of freeze mode, on the kind of stillness, that don't kind of standing still without any capability to do anything about it, except your thoughts are running, 1,000 miles an hour. But to add into the equation of how important it is, just like someone who does things like flying to places in the world where going through whatever it is that they go through, they need help, they need understanding, they need some people contributing their time and aid and goodwill and all that. So that's something that is self-explanatory. We cannot find anything bad about going to the Ukraine now and volunteering your goodwill to help, or money, or whatever it is. So the very same would be that we're contributing by us going to the studio, putting something together, compositions, placement, proximity, colors, shapes, what belongs to what, in what timing. And we are busy, and we're excited, and we're excited, and we're excited. And we feel like this kind of promising scent in the air that wants to take us to the place that we know this is the right place. We know this is the destination. And so we turn passive because we don't want to disrupt something that's already working on its own behalf and showing all the promising signs in disbelief. But you know God is great, and you know that you're doing well because it's being long enough, and you earned and gained that which is required, and that which you need in order for this, for what it takes it to what it indeed it takes in order to get to achieve that, and to get to the place where you, once you're there, you realize, oh my God, this is okay. Yeah, great, wow, amazing. So yes, so there is a, that kind of level of that which you're familiar, that being challenged. You're being challenged. There's something that doesn't go away. You'll always remember it, no matter what is the nature of this challenge. You're being challenged. It's imprinted in your memory, your immediate memory. It will always be available. That's a good thing, because we want to have that at our disposal, to be used as a word automatic point of reference, not only a point of reference, an automatic point of reference. And And we also hope to live long enough to indulge and to enjoy and to maybe expose the new generation of the magic that resides behind these concepts and behind this state of minds and behind these givens that can be instantly yours, that you don't have to really dwell or slave in order to get a certain amount of it, that will just guarantees that you can just keep on going, kind of, even if it's adamantly, even if it's without such great out of this world excitement. It can be just like a thing, the thing of a thing, a thing of the thing, and it's just ongoing, and it's um, you know, and this is how a solution and a resolution is born. When these superpower gathering of hundreds of thousands of individuals around the world that make it their business to doing the same thing, get a space where they can work, where they can isolate themselves, where they can make decisions, when they can be quiet, where they can decide about how they're going to go about how they breathe, how they move, how they nourish themselves, how they make themselves available and strong enough, and utilize and implement their talent, and then expose it to the world. Immeasurable amount of joy and benefits that it's responsible for, and it's right there forever. It doesn't go away. That which you contribute doesn't, like, because the world is constantly indulging and using it and taking advantage of it, that it's kind of disappearing. It's there. It's a fixed thing forever. So I don't know if you're an artist out there. I encourage you to continue and to heighten the level of friction and welcome any challenge. And also, don't be too much of anything, really. Just kind of find the level of that which is the most important resides within the action of it. The actually, okay, brushes, paint, surface, this, enough of everything, no reason to pause. And if it's a pause, it's an emotional pause. But your body still observes. So it's all about the decency of composition and the decency of your need and desire and the decency of your making decisions to implement and to actualize and to actualize and to implement in that wonderful constant loop that's responsible for magic to unfold. And aren't we lucky? So wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for your time to listen, and I appreciate that. I don't take it for granted. And we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this afternoon of Tuesday, February 20th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Um, and I want to bless you for the most wonderful, delicious things that you wish for to come your way and to satisfy you, and to so you can acknowledge that your happiness is our happiness. We will see you soon.